So today in part 2 of our series on Down syndrome, we're going to look at ways to set kids up for success in the church classroom. Hey there, working in your garden? That's nice, but what exactly are you doing? Oh, you have a special flower that takes a little extra care to bloom? You mean when this flower blooms, it's so beautiful that the extra care was worth it? Wonder if that could happen anywhere else. Down syndrome, blooming in the classroom. When it comes to serving children who have special needs like Down syndrome, putting in a little extra time and care to understand what they need can make all the difference. Today we're going to take a look at 3 ways that you can help your students who have Down syndrome bloom in the classroom. The first thing to know is that communication matters, even when it's complex. Some children who have Down syndrome have complex communication needs. This means some may be nonverbal, have a speech delay, or may receive communication best in certain ways. So start by learning more about your student. Ask their parents how they communicate best. Find out if they have a communication device and how to use it. And it's always a good idea to have a picture board of common words available in your classroom. This allows students to point to things they want to say but may not have the words for yet. Now, after you figure out how to best understand your student, figure out how they can best understand you. We find 2 things really help. First, use clear, concise language when giving directions, such as first-then statements. Then, give them time to process what you've said. Check for comprehension before you move on. Secondly, remember that visuals help. Many children, including children who have Down syndrome, learn visually. So using tools such as visual schedules, visual timers, and visual boundaries can make instructions much easier to understand. Combining these 2 techniques can greatly increase positive communication in the classroom and cut down on behaviors that stem from frustration or confusion. The next way to help students bloom is to include them. When it comes to inclusion, there are a few things that you can do to set children who have Down syndrome up for success. You can start by being ready for questions. Some of the kids in your classroom may ask why their classmate has some differences. Now relax. What you say matters, but there isn't some perfect answer you need to recite. In fact, what you say will depend on the age-appropriate level. But what does matter is how you answer. Make sure that you communicate non-verbally, that's your tone and body language, to say questions are welcome and differences are A-OK. And remember, asking questions to better understand someone else isn't rude. It's how we connect. It can be the first step towards friendship. So if a child asks you a question, answer it and then look for an opportunity to connect the child with their classmate. Secondly, invite the children who have Down syndrome to participate in all activities, but understand that some adaptations may be necessary. Children who have Down syndrome have low muscle tone, which can sometimes make physical activity more difficult. Fine motor skills, such as those needed for crafts, can sometimes be particularly hard. So if you see an activity is becoming frustrating, make an adaptation. But also remember this, only help as much as needed. Doing more for a child than she needs is not helpful. Lastly, respect your students' wishes. Many children who have Down syndrome love being fully included in their classroom with their peers, but others prefer a calmer, quieter space like a sensory break room. Whatever works best for your student and your ministry is what is best. The third thing to remember is be creative with teaching. Many kids who have Down syndrome benefit from multisensory teaching. Simply put, this means engage the senses as you present the lesson. Use short Bible stories with simple pictures and animations. Incorporate character voices and sound effects to make the story come alive. Oink, oink! And get them moving. Sometimes doing something physical can help a child learn better. So invite them to clap, jump, or dance along with the lesson. Give them a hands-on activity, or even allow them to color or play with Legos or a fidget as they listen to the lesson. Multisensory learning is great for all students, so make sure you include the entire class when possible. Another thing, alternate challenging tasks with rewarding ones. Help students be successful by allowing them to do a preferred activity after the more challenging task is complete. Another great tip, use a visual schedule like the first-then board. Put the challenging task in the first spot and let the student pick from a few choices of preferred activities and place it in the then spot. Wow, that was a lot of good stuff! But there's one more thing before you go. Not everyone watching this today will have a student who has Down syndrome in their classroom, but most will have a child in their class that they would love to see bloom. Take some time this week and think and pray about ways that you may be able to take a little bit of extra time and care and see that child set up for success. Every child deserves a chance to bloom, because sometimes what's underneath is more incredibly beautiful than you could ever imagine. Thanks for joining us today. See you next time.